here to discuss all things NRL and anything sports related. Please give a warm Aussie g'day to the footy fanatic and America's own Corey Jackson in Outside the Sheds.
Greetings and salutations and welcome back to Outside the Sheds. Shedheads, first off, I've got to start by thinking that I didn't know how I'm just feeling so alive right now. Back in the box, back starting the podcast back up, rejuvenated after a couple of weeks off. And you guys know, if you're old Shedheads, you've been around the game for a while, I disappeared for about 2 weeks. I've actually started putting a couple pictures up on the Instagram page for OTS, Outside the Sheds. That is my getaway. And it's funny because it's almost like State of Origin is to the NRL. Like the worst timing in the world of when it can be happening, right? Dead in the middle of your season. That is my pilgrimage up to the College World Series. Something I've been doing since I was a little boy. And it's just part of my fabric. It's part of my DNA. It's part of my fiber. I have to do it. I have to do it. Yes, it makes it very, very difficult for me to continue to kind of stay dialed in on what I'm doing here with the show. Following what's happening. I still watch all the matches, which means your Shedadamus probably isn't sleeping as much as he needs to because it's early days, late nights, all that type of stuff. Wah, right? Wah, you're on vacation. But it's great. I get to spend time with one of my favorite Shedheads. She actually comes in from her medical work from a different state. I can't give everything away, Shedheads. I can't give you all the insight of all the fellow Shedheads. Just know we have some successful listeners that are Shedheads. It's important. You guys bring it all. You bring it time and time again. So I got to spend time with her. Me and Mrs. Shedadamus had our 10-year wedding anniversary. That's right, Shedheads. 10 years your Shed has now been married to Mrs. Shedadamus. We were together way longer before we tied the knot. But that was really, really special. Picking her up after the game, her getting, her being able to spend time up there with me, which she doesn't get to come up tons. So it was just a magical time, and I'm very, very blessed to be able to do it. The weather was incredible. Can I say that again? The weather was incredible. I'm going to go with my temperatures over here in the divided states, but I had days in the 70s in June, and that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Usually we're on the other side of Hades, the cooler side, but it's still the other side of Hades at that time of year. Bad humidity, blah, 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 blah. Bad storms occasionally. Weather was just pristine. It was awesome. Next year, it's another week later. So if you guys want to put in your calendars, your Shedadamus will be leaving the week of June 18th to go up. But there's a lot of stuff that's maybe in the works. Maybe me being in Brisbane for Magic Round next year is definitely on the table. There's a lot of stuff coming up with Outside the Sheds that we're really looking to pushing out. We're pushing out. That's what we're going to do. But I want to really first off thank a lot of you who've reached out to me, making sure that I was okay. I know that's such a cool thing that we can do nowadays. I know that's something that we kind of had a problem doing that for a while. So General Willow, and you see that he's now General Willow because he is one of the top echelons of you Shedheads. He pushes the fabric for this show. The guy cuts and bleeds for Outside the Sheds. And I am very much in debt with this young man. But thank you for reaching out. I am fine. Well, I guess you'd have to ask Mrs. Shedadamus if I'm fine. But I feel fine. Another major breakthrough that has happened since I talked to you last is your Shedadamus has quit drinking Monster. I finally looked at the side of a can of Monster and saw that I'm drinking like 300 milligrams of sodium in a single can. And sometimes I'll pound 2 of those things. And I don't eat sodium. I don't intake sodium. I don't salt my food or anything like that. So that was a big breakthrough for me. So I'm now a C4 guy. I'm a C4 guy. I got a can next to me right now. No sodium in this can. Hawaiian punch flavor if you wanted to know. But I'm recharged. What a great time to jump back into Outside the Sheds. We've got so much on the docket, so much, and we're going to do a lot of different stuff on this episode as we come back into the lane. So what we're doing right now is we're putting the left blinker on. Okay, don't forget, I'm in the divided states, not the right blinker. Left. We're getting back into traffic, and we're stepping on it. We're going right to fifth gear. No second or third, right to fifth gear. But what better round for us to kick back in? Round 17, beanies for brain cancer. 3.8 million raised for beanies for brain cancer. So that it's what a great thing. It really kind of touches the home right now because I have a couple people very, very close to me that are fighting brain cancer, and it just kind of dropped on us all within the last 7-8 months for both of these people that mean the world to me. So it definitely has a place in my heart too. So congratulations for the Hughes Foundation for coming up with this idea and once again having an incredible round. Thank you for making some beanies without balls on the top. I'm not a ball on the top of beanie guy, but I will definitely be making a contribution myself to that great cause. But as we go on around 17, let's break it off. Let's go into it. Rabbitohs 32, Eagles 12. No Luttrell, no problem. Let me say that again. No Luttrell, no problem. The bunnies behind Walker and Duncan. Doubles for both these guys. And you know what? Are they a smoky? Are the South Sydney Rabbitohs one of the most storied franchises in the game under radar? Are we not paying attention to this team as much as we really need to be? Because you don't ever hear anybody talking about South Sydney. And they're sitting here in the top 8. We're going to do something here as we go to a deeper dive, talking about the top 8, talking about the leaderboard, all that type of stuff. But are we sleeping on South Sydney? Because they're starting to get healthy. Jack Whiten's back this coming week. Are we sleeping on this club? And that's something I want to leave with you guys right now. Because, yes, they just trounced the Eels. Okay. And we know the Eels aren't having the best season. Mitchell Moses is nowhere close to being the player that a lot of times we're used to seeing. But I do think that had something to do with South Sydney. Cody Walker is just still playing like a guy maybe 5-10 years younger than what he normally is or what he is. And I think that has something to do with him starting the game a little bit later in first grade. But are we sleeping on South Sydney? And I want to be thinking about this as the weeks go on as we march towards the finals. Bulldogs 30, Titans 12. Critter back in the 6. That is a development that has happened since yours truly went into the bunker. But he seemed to have reignited the Dogs' offense. He seemed to bring that headgear, that big frame, and changed it. You've got, Galvin looks like he's playing well with him. Matty Burton looks like he's just really embracing the center's position, even though I know that, a lot of rumblings is he wants to be back in that 6. So yeah, has Serraldo kind of come in here, tinkered, because that's all they do is tinker at Canterbury. But has he tinkered enough? Maybe he's found anything. Maybe he's found something that none of us really were thinking. But can Critter go in here, go into the 6, change the dynamic, and really push this team towards a finals berth? I'm thinking that's a stretch. But he has made some really, I don't know, there's just a rebirth about this team right now that I really, I don't know. 3 out of 4 they've won now, 3 in a row. So we've got to watch them too. This team, the Bulldogs, they can get hot, they can get on these streaks, and maybe they can fight their way into the top 8. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Roosters 24, Broncos 18. Against a desperate Brisbane Broncos side, the Chooks, they just take care of business. They go up to Suncorp. They play a tough game. Billy Smith getting a double. They're not, I don't even know what to do. Hollywood Walker is really finding his place. I think him and Selwyn Cabo have gone into the Origin arena and have come back men. Okay? And I'm going to say that very, very strongly. They've come back men. These are two players that we knew had immense talent, but Origin has blooded them. Origin has made them crusty and tough. I will say this right now, and I know I'm not the first person to say it. Selwyn Cabo is a freak of nature. We've always known that. We've always known this guy's potential has been always high, but he's never looked like he wanted to buy into it. He's never looked like he's wanted to embrace the freak that he is, the ability to do things a lot of players cannot do. Speed, size, tenacity, and just straight violence to an extent, right? Even though he's violence with a smile. What is that? Violence and a smile. But that's Selwyn Cabo. And he says he's just enjoying his footy right now. Well, I'm going to say something right now. Anybody who is not a Dolphin is not enjoying this rebirth of Selwyn Cabo, because this guy is, again, a freak. And he's proved it again. But it's crazy when you look at that the Broncos let this guy go. It's just very, very strange what this guy has done with the Dolphins. And maybe that's why the Broncos are in the situation they are in right now, because they've lost a player like that. And is it Madge? Is it something? There's something going on. And there's a lot of players now with the Broncos. I'm sorry about going on that Selwyn Cabo diatribe right now, because I'm about ready to go into it again as I talk about the Dolphins and Waz. But it is something. There's something going on behind the scenes. We'll never know. We'll never know unless, unless we get Gordy on here and he can say exactly. But even they've taken his name off the wall. What does Gordon know? But there's something going on with the Broncos. And there's players that haven't re-signed because they're not sure if Madge is going to re-sign. It's getting nasty. They've lost 7 in a row now. This week, they say it every time. I think they've got to win 8 of their last 9 if they're going to make it into finals contention. And if you look at that run home, they're not winning 8 out of 9. Not happening. I don't care if Reese Walsh puts on a mask, a cape, I don't know, takes Wonder Woman's magic lasso. I don't care. They're not doing it. So a lot of change is getting ready to happen. But the Chooks go in there, not flashy, not doing anything. But again, Selwyn Cabo and Hollywood Walker have come out of this Origin series and are freaks. Maybe I should have talked a little bit more about Hollywood Walker. But the game has slowed down even more for him. He's able to dictate. His kicking game is on point. Yeah, really cool to see about these two players right now. Oh, speak of the devil. Dolphins 26, Warriors 24. That makes it 8 on the trot now for the Phins. They look like they might be. There's 3 teams to me that are going to go into finals that are just going to be dangerous to taking down the Panthers. Where I'm not going to go into it right now. We're going to go into a deeper dive. But I will say one of those teams is the Dolphins. This game really lived up to everything we were hoping for, did it not? To me, it was the game of the year so far. You had 2 teams playing at the top of their game, and they just left it all out there. And you have to take your hats off even more for the Phins because, Asako going down with that fractured wrist, which is going to see him out now for a month, and Nicarima just stepped right up. That team, they're in a flow. They're doing Jedi mind tricks on people right now. And it's the thing that makes the NRL Rugby League so beautiful. I remember at the beginning of the season, everybody was like, what's wrong with Christian Wolf's boys? What's wrong with Christian Wolf's boys? Well, I guess maybe nothing's wrong with Christian Wolf's boys because right now how they're playing, they are definitely one of the teams that have to make the Panthers and their revenge tour a little unsettled because they're playing that great. But again, Selwyn Cabo just doing things that normal men are not supposed to do, and looked that way again in this game. Cowboys 26, Panthers 12. Cows stunning the Panthers. And it was so good to see them doing this in JT's 300th game. But you just never know what Cowboys team is going to step up. You just never know when you turn on the TV, you sit down in front of your iPad, you have your Bundy, you have, a Jack and Coke, whatever you're drinking. C4, even though they're not a sponsor of the show yet. But what I'm saying is, this Cowboys team can beat anybody. And they handed it to the Panthers. They just, Jeremiah and I look good. Drinky always, when that team is flowing, he's always around the field. It just, I don't know. It was impressive what the Cowboys did. But again, it just makes you shake your head and go, really? Like, why does that team not play like that all the time? And it's baffling. Now, on the other side, the Pink Panthers, Milky Jenkins gets another double. And he was the bright spot of the Panthers side. But to me, it's the Cowboys again. You really don't know. It was great to see Tamalolo getting a victory on his 300th. I don't know. Did anybody see, did he come out with his dog again? Because that may be one of the coolest things ever, coming out with your dog. But just really, really cool to see a guy like that who looked like a couple years ago his career was coming to an end. And he's just rejuvenated. He had the most running meters for anybody on the Cowboys for the game. So great victory for the Cowboys. And that's 2 on the trot now for the Panthers in the loss column. And now with Origin coming in, they've got another tough road this weekend too. So we'll see what's happening. Maybe they're coming back to earth a little bit. The revenge tour's having a little bit. None of those revenge movies just come without any type of bumps in the road. That doesn't make it a revenge movie if he doesn't run into a little adversity. So maybe this is their adversity right now for the Panthers to try to get back on top of the rugby league world. Sea Eagles 30, Storm 4, Manly in the Battle of Brookvale. And I think all of us know that. They always show it. Nobody wants the timeout. The people that make the calls don't want the biff in the game. But if that's the case and the biff is so bad, why does everybody get so amped when we show the clips of the Battle of Brookvale when guys start giving each other the hands? The crowds love it. Now, do I want it to just break into, a UFC steel cage match? No. But there's not one person that doesn't love the game, that doesn't just love to see passion boil up, and occasionally, some fists might fly. It just happens. These are grown men running into each other at 60 miles an hour. There are going to be sometimes hurt feelings and hurt faces. Think about that. Anyway, but wow, one-sided traffic in this one. Was really, really sad to see Luke Brooks going down with that ACL tear, though. This guy has been playing years. Don't forget, we've talked about Luke Brooks plenty of time on Outside the Sheds. How this guy at one time was called the next Andrew Johns. Well, we know that hasn't happened. But this probably is the first time we've seen Luke Brooks just own his role, enjoy his footy, and he's just really come to a real Zen-like state playing under Fosball, playing under Kieran Foran. And for all that to happen and then to go down with this type of an injury that's going to cost him his season, I know some people are excited to see Joey Walsh now come in to see how they're going to work this halves combination with this young gun, him and his earrings, with his, what does he got, 2 carrots in each ear? But anyway, I'm excited to see what Joey Walsh does. It's going to be fun to see how Foz goes in there and tries to get this halves pairing just right. Who's running, who's doing most of the kicking. I think we know how it's going to be structured, but it's just going to be, Walsh doesn't have to look over his shoulder right now. He's going to be handed the keys to be a half now for Manly, which a lot of people wanted to see for a very, very long time. But big victory. Then you had Olakwatu making a statement, running over fools. And just, like I said, I don't know how many guys right now are looking at their chests in the locker room for the Melbourne Storm or did after the game, because Olakwatu was walking over people. It wasn't Easter, but he might have walked on water in that game, all right? He had a point to prove. His point was heard. He's back in the Blues side. Should have never left the Blues side. But Manly winning the Battle of Brookvale, hands down, not even a close match. Poor Cameron Munster got ran at it 138 times. I'm joking. I don't know how many times. But they definitely targeted money, and the Ice Bass had to be really, really good for money. after that match. Raiders 24, Dragons 16. Raiders getting back in that win column, that topsy-turvy season they're having right now. The X-Man getting a double, which was always good to see. This dude, I could sit back and watch him run just in open space every week, right? And I don't even care if he's playing a team you like or don't like. The guy is a freak. He's the X-Man. He's the X-Factor for the Raiders, the Green Machine. He's the guy that puts the accelerator down, him and Kyle Weeks. But you kind of felt a little bit for the Dragons. They did get done wrong on a couple of calls. But it really was Sticky's boys kind of trying to figure out this season. Unfortunately, I know, Willow, I'm going to say it, I was expecting a lot more for the Green Machine this season. I think they waited too long to get back into the top 8 this season. But, come on. Going down the track, this team is going to be fine. It happens to these young teams sometimes. They feel, they get success. They expect success to be something that's just now going to be, something they're going to experience year in and year out. And then sometimes they have that sophomore slump, right? Where they kind of go, wow, we're really going to have to put in harder work if we want those type of results. That's why what Bellyache has done with the Storm has been so brilliant. That no matter how much success Melbourne continues to have, he always gets them more hungry for the next year, and he sometimes lights a fire under their rear end. I think Ricky will get that team going again next year, but it has just been a very topsy-turvy time to be a Raiders fan. Viking clap not clicking on all cylinders, but they got the victory last week, and that's all that matters. And finally, Knights 12, Tigers 6. What a grind of a match, man. That was old school footy where tackles are being finished. No team offensively seemed like they could get into a groove. And it was good to see Adam Dewey back. With the Tigers play a totally different brand of footy when Adam Dewey is back on the side. They kind of had it, but they were still a little out of sync without him being in there for a while. We all know how beat up that shoulder is. We just hope that Adam Dewey can get through the season, because it's going to be tough on him. It's going to be very, very tough on him. But, I think we saw something in the second half is what makes this fan base for Newcastle so excited, because in years past, the Tigers would have just found a way to kind of pull away. Newcastle would have just kind of self-imploded, and the rest is history. But instead, this team, Ponga, Dom Young, Bradman Best, they just said we're not going down. Dylan Brown, time and time again, no matter how, I don't want to say aloof, but the guy just is so quiet, cool. I think sometimes you got to take that mirror, put it under the nose to make sure he's breathing, and then all of a sudden he just makes a great pass, a great play, a great run, and he just kind of weaves his way into the fabric of the match. And they somehow find a way to pull it off, get in there, get the 2 tries, and win a very, very tough, gritty game. And this is something that Jason Holbrook has brought down and put into the chemistry of this Knights club. He's made them accept where they're from, accept that they've got to play a tough, hard-nosed, salt of the earth team like the people of Newcastle. And you saw it. And I think that's why so many people in the Hunter have gravitated to this team this year, because they are really embracing their roots and they're playing just a fabulous brand of football. And they're fun to watch. I'm saying they're fun to watch. And that's something that I don't think we can say the last few years that Newcastle has been, is a team that people have said, hey, the Knights game is on. I can't wait to see what they do offensively. So big victory for the Knights. Then you had Talon May, kind of like the whole Adam Dewey situation. That shoulder's going to rule him out for the rest of the season. It was sad to see him leaving the field like that, because you know how bad he came back and wanted to finish the season out, even though there was always that risk when it comes to shoulders like that. You're one tackle or one bad fall away from the season being done. And unfortunately for him, he goes down with that injury. So here's to a speedy recovery for Talon May. Now, Shedheads, as we go into a little deeper dive right now, after watching I'm going to say it again, the best match of the season between, the Phins and the Waz, and then seeing the revenge tours scuttle now 2 weeks in a row for the Panthers. The NRL the mad dash has begun for finals berths and finals places. And I know you're saying, Shedda, we've got weeks. Yeah, you do. But some of these clubs that are so far outside the 8 right now have to start now. And then we've got some real saber rattling because it is going to be, I said it before, the end of the season is going to be a steel cage match. It's going to be everyone up against the ropes, wait for the bell, and just charge into the middle. A battle royale, men going over the top of the rope. And that's what this season is going to turn into. What we're going to do right now is we're going to look at the crystal ball. We're going to go look at the ladder right now. We're going to go into the crystal ball and see what we think projection-wise, how this is going to play itself out. Let's go into the top rate right now, or we're going to go over the whole 17, and then we'll go back and look at the top 8. Right now, Panthers are sitting number 1 at 28, Warriors at 2 at 24, Dolphins at 3 at 24, Chooks at 4 at 24, Knights at 5 at 24, Seagulls at 6 at 22, Rabbitohs 7 at 22, Sharks at 8 at 22, Cowboys at 9 at 20, Doggies at 10 at 18, Tigers at 11 with 18, Storm at 12 with 16, Broncos at 13 with 14, Raiders at 14 with 14, Eels in 15th at 14, Titans 16 at 12, and finally, the team we're just going to give the wooden spoon to right now, Dragons at 17 with 6. All right, there it is. There are the numbers. Now, the first thing I know you all notice right now as we do this is the battle for the top 4 is going to be violent, and then it's going to be violent, and then it's going to be more violent. Because these teams from 2 to 5 are going to just go at it. And we're going to get a match starting this round that we're going to have a battle of this 2 through 5 to finish round 18. But it's going to be interesting because these teams, it's going to come down to their schedules and who's got the easy and who's got the hardest schedule. And as I went down and did the breakdown, the hardest schedule between 2 and 5 right now are the Newcastle Knights. The Knights have a murderer's row to finish this season. They play 6 teams in the current top 8 in their final 9 games. It is going to be tough for them to finish in the top 4. Really tough. No matter how much I love the brand of footy they're playing right now, the Knights are going, if they make it through the top 4, going through the teams they have to play, they could win the competition. And I mean that. If they find a way to find themselves to play the type of footy they're needing to play, they could win the comp to get through that. The Phins had the second hardest road, and I think they've got 4 of the top. They've got the second. We'll just say they have the second hardest road, right? And the fascinating part is these 2 teams play to finish out this round. That is why, because looking at these schedules, I have the Panthers, the Waz, the Chooks, and the Seagulls finishing in the top 4 when it's all said and done. That's right, Fozball, a team that just looked like they couldn't find the win column, no matter if you paid them an extra incentive, are now, to me, a top 4 side and are going to finish in the top 4. Now, of the teams that are currently sitting outside the top 8, I only have one real team that I feel can actually crack and get into that top 8, and that is the Cows. The team that we watched last week find a way to beat the Penrith Panthers. They have the strike, they have the skill to actually really push to get into that top 8. The question is which club we're going to get week in and week out. And can they put a run together to actually have them leapfrog somebody in the top 8 to get up there? They have the potential, they have the skill, they have the playmakers to do it, but they're, to me, the only team that are sitting outside the 8 right now that I see that has a chance to sneak in. That being said, I will double down right now. We are going to have an incredible last 9 weeks of this season. It is going to be some fun stuff, Shedheads. It's going to be magical. I can't believe that we actually have a 2-5 matchup with the Knights and the Phins to close out the round. I know we're not going to have all the stars. We're not going to have Ponga, but it's still going to be good. The hammer won't be there, but it's still going to be some fascinating stuff. I think that's why we're going to see the depths of these two teams. They're going to have to prove themselves, because for one of these two teams to finish in the 4, their freaking bench is going to have to play some immense footy. And so we're going to see these benches step up with this round. And I can't wait. Like I said, that is my game that I have circled. Yes, we're not going to have all the top stars, but it's going to be some incredible footy that we're going to see. And like I always say, sometimes when it gets good, get that popcorn ready, or a dark and stormy. I'll take a dark and stormy too. I'll do that. If anybody wants to send your Shedadamus a bottle of dark and stormy Bundaberg, or a good, just a bottle of Bundaberg, I would take it. So let me know. Send me a message. We can see if we can work something out. But can't wait for the last 9 rounds of this season. Now, as we go into the 40-20, Shedheads, you know what we have to talk about. It is that time. It is upon us. Origin Game 3, Suncorp Stadium. It is what we live for. It is the top of the mountain, as the great Ric Flair would say, Space Mountain. We're at the top of it for rugby league. A Game 3, a decider, and some people say the heart of rugby league, Suncorp Stadium. It is going to be some magical footy. I cannot wait for this game. It is going to be brutal for your Shedadamus because it's a 5 a.m. kickoff here stateside. Right now, it looks like the Maroons are the favorite to win this, and why would you not think that? To me, they've outplayed New South Wales in both games so far in Origin 1 and 2. And really, this series should be over if it wasn't for the Kalen Ponga shoulder that kind of changed the entire flow of Game 1, and then Teddy's incredible catch to get the try to actually seal it for the Blues. But this has been, to me, a Maroons Origin series. It really, really has. And that's why, to me, when I look at what I just have been watching over the last few days, I don't want to call it panic, but when I see Laurie Daly making 6 changes to the roster, it really makes me go, huh. And the problem for Laz is a lot of people don't think that he should have been called back as the Origin coach for the Blues. And a lot of people's number one concern is the way that Laurie manages his playing group, right? Okay, I understand. You can say that if you'd like. But to me, the biggest, shining, flashing neon sign of what's happening is the call that he did not make. And that is, Laurie did not change his halves pairing. He's going to stay with Cleary and Mitchell Moses. That baffles me. Mitchell Moses is a great player. He's a really great player. He's getting longer in the tooth, and Mitch has got a lot of footy left in front of him. I'm not going to say that. But he has not been playing stellar footy recently. Matter of fact, if you watch the game against the Bunnies, they owned him. Cody Walker it was a bad showing for Mitchell Moses this last week. I know a lot of people, and the Maroons fans will say this, sometimes you just have to make calls from your gut. Okay, I understand that. But then you think about this. What did Ethan Strange do to lose his spot as the halves partner for Nathan Cleary? Nothing. Nothing at all. And that is my problem with this. How is Laz not gone? Our team looked the best with Ethan Strange running and with Nathan Cleary kicking the ball. Now you have two guys that both are sevens, and you're going to go, all right, we're going to make this work. No. And I think it's a bad call by Laws in this. Now, a lot of people will say, well, it's just the fates because Ethan Strange, twisting his ankle, tweaking his ankle, whatever you want to say, in a freak mishap at practice, and now he's in a walking boot. Strangey is still saying that he is going to be right. He's got plenty of time. They're doing everything they need. He'll be ready for Origin Game 3. But it makes you also go, are you sure? Because Matty Burton now has entered Blues camp just in case they rule Ethan Strange out. So here we go. So you got now Strangey, who I think should have been the 6, hobbled, injured. So some people will say, well, there you go. That takes the pressure off of Mitchell Moses. But I still don't feel that it's the right call. And when you're making this many changes to the side, the one that I think you should make, you're not making. I don't get it. I don't get it whatsoever. I have no problem with Critter coming back into the side. I have no problem with Bradman Best coming back into the side. They've both bled blue. They've both had great matches for New South Wales. So no problem with that. But for me, standing down Brian Ta'o and breaking his 17 matches in a row for the Blues and bringing in Jack Bostock, lock, stock, and Bostock and 2 smoking barrels, whatever, I think that's not a good call. Listen, Jack Bostock has played some incredible footy this season. He really has. And it's great seeing the footy he's playing after coming back from injury. I'm the first guy to stand up and say, agreed. But Brian Ta'o, the experience he has, the 17 matches in a row, and there's no way Brian Ta'o was going to play 3 subpar games in a row, State of Origin, especially with the series resting on this game. No way. I've watched this guy play way too long to think that he does not have it in him to right the ship and to get back where he needs to be. All right? So I think that's, and to me, in a game, in a pressure cooker at Suncorp Stadium that no one's picking you to win, I want a guy that's been on that wall before. I want a guy that's played with Nathan Cleary before, Isaiah Yeo before. I want that guy there. So I think that's, again, a whiff, a mistake for Laurie, especially since Bostock has not played in either one of the 2 games leading up to this Game 3 decider. So, again, is it Laws trying to roll the dice a little bit and trying to, motivate his side to show that anybody can play for the Blues? You try to tell me. I don't know. But it goes back to making some big calls with some positions and then not making calls in positions some of us feel he should have made that always calls Laurie into question if this is just too big of a job for him. So we're going to see about that. Now for the Maroons, there's only 3 major changes they've made. They're bringing back Paddy Carrigan. And that is a little bit of a swing for Billy. I know he loves Paddy Carrigan, but Carrigan has not played since he injured his knee, and he's not had any type of match preparation. And we all know that running through practice is nothing like playing a match. Not even an NRL match. We're talking an Origin match. Yes, he's been there before. Yes, he knows what it's going to take. But you'd like to see him have a game or 2 underneath his belt before making that call. But then I digress by looking at Billy Slater. Billy Slater knows his players. Billy Slater knows if he thinks Pat Carrigan has it in him. He's seen him in practice. He's seen him doing fitness tests to see how fit he is. So you got to go with Billy thinking that Paddy Carrigan is ready for this. He also recalled Jeremiah Nanai and Big Red, Corey Horsburgh, is back on the side. Those to me aren't big swings at all. We see what Jeremiah Nanai can do when he has the ball. He's got great vision. He's a try scorer. He makes great passes on assists. So I've got no problem with him coming back in. And like I said, you know what Big Red's there for. He's there for the tough carries. He's there to run people over, and he's there to bring the violence. Exactly what he does for the Raiders week in and week out. So it just is really funny to me that they do this all the time. New South Wales seems to panic a little bit by making big calls on players, changing up the chemistry a little bit. I know Laws has kept some of his pieces in place, so that's why some people say having Teddy, having Cleary, having Moses, not messing with that spine is different for Blues. Not making calls of sacking players or sitting the spine down. That's cool. But that's just not Queensland style. And besides, when Billy took the blowtorch to DCE to put Tommy Dearden into the halves, they really stand pat usually on the players they have. It takes a lot for guys to be stood down. It's not that Billy hasn't made that call before, but I think he wants to have as little rippling in camp as he possibly can have. We all know this. Selections are huge. Selections are a big part of this, but we know when it's a decider for Origin, a Game 3 situation, we know how well the Maroons play up at Suncorp. We know how difficult it is for the Blues to win a decider at Suncorp, let alone a match at Suncorp. But we do know that this is all going to come down to heart and will. Heart and will are those factors that analytics cannot break down for you. It is going to come down to who is willing to suffer the most pain and and give off the most amount of pain to actually bring and lift that trophy at the end of this whole thing. And that's what we're going to see. And that's why we love State of Origin, and we love it when we get a decider, because no matter how much it looks like one side has everything going in their favor to win this thing, it comes down to the things I just said, and that is heart and will. And we're going to see it on full display. And like the great Maximus said years ago, we will be entertained, Shedheads. We will be entertained. So can't wait for Wednesday. I'm happy for some of you that are going to be able to watch the match at 7 o'clock at night, not 5 a.m. But we're going to get ourselves a real burner coming up in a little less than a week. Now, I know this is hard to believe, Shedheads. I know it's very, very hard to believe. But the musical chairs that is the Canterbury Bulldogs is playing again. And what I mean by that is we've got a new in, we've got a new out. And that roster again is being shaken into a bag, like the great James Bond, shaken not stirred, right? Well, that shaking now is the tumultuous season of Bronson Xerri. You remember he was on the outs. He's back in. He's playing good footy. But Bronson Xerri, I think, has been yo-yoed enough, because he has now signed a 3-year deal to go play for Bellyache's boys down in Melbourne and to become a member of the Melbourne Storm. And to me, this is a huge call, because it's been a while since we've had a Melbourne Storm center that has the strike that Bronson Xerri has. And I will say this right now, not having a dog in the fight right now, except for the fact Bronson Xerri seems like a great dude. I talked to him a couple of times in Vegas this year. If you've gone on the Outside the Sheds Instagram page, you'll see the picture with me and Special K and him. But I'll say this right now. I cannot wait to see what Bronson Xerri looks like after a preseason under Bellyache's tutelage, and what type of player Bellyache gets out of Bronson Xerri. And I know the Eels were very much looking at maybe trying to bring him on board with the blue and gold. But to me, I think we'll see the best out of Bronson Xerri once he puts on that purple of the Melbourne Storm. And I cannot wait to see what he looks like in the 2027 season. So it's a 3-year deal. It looks like it's $600,000 a season. So congratulations to Bronson Xerri. I know it's tough when you feel like you might have been done wrong by your club, by your job, by your, whatever you want to say. And he's able to go to a place that seems like they really, really want him. And I think he knows deep down the player that he's going to be when he gets out of that. So congrats to Bronson Xerri on his signing with the Storm. Now, Shedheads, I know we've got a new blip that's just come up onto the radar, and that's the 2026 NRLW season kicking off. I'm just going to say, can't wait to watch the ladies go out there and leave it all out on the field. I'm going to make my pick already, though. I'm going with Strange's ladies. I got the Chooks getting some more silverware. I think it's their year. I think they felt hard done not winning it last year, and I think they lift the trophy this year. Plus, it'll be the last year Jess Surgis is single. Okay, she's not single now. Congratulations, Tommy, but it'll be the last time before the ring's on the finger, and she's off the market. So, gentlemen, brace yourselves for that. But I cannot wait. It's going to be some good footy. The ladies put on a great show. It's form tackling, no laying in the run. It's a good brand of footy. That's all I can say. So looking forward to watching some NRLW matches this year. It's going to be a good season. Now, as we go into round 18, we don't have as many matches because of Origin coming up, but it kicks off on Friday. Matter of hours. We've got the Rabbitohs versus the Panthers. Normally, we would say probably the Panthers would be the favorite, but then you start looking at the pieces that are missing. Isaiah Yeo, Nathan Cleary, Liam Martin, gone, out of the side. And the way that the Bunnies are firing right now, I'm going with the Bunnies over the Panthers to make it 3 in a row in the loss column for Penrith. So I'm taking the Bunnies to stay hot. Saturday, Tigers versus the Dragons. I was back and forth on this, but I am going to stay with the Tigers in my pick because I do think another round for Adam Dewey to be back into the side. I think you're going to see that strike. Even though Luai is out because of concussion, I do think that this team has enough to beat the Dragons. I've taken the Tigers over the Dragons. Sharks versus the Broncos. 8 out of 9, Brisbane fans. 8 out of 9 you've got to win to get yourselves in the 8. And you're already in trouble because I got the Sharkies beating you again. I think that the boys from the Shire come up there and get a big victory. No Ezra Mam, no Reynolds, it sounds like. So, yeah, I'm going with the Sharks over the Broncos. Sunday, Sea Eagles versus the Eels. It's Fosball. Right now, how the Eels are looking, they won't have Mitchell Moses. Jonah Peasant's back in the side, so I guess he'll be running the side in the 7, but it won't be enough. I got the Sea Eagles putting the sword, and we get to watch the Joey Walsh era begin in place of the injured Luke Brooks. And then finally, Dolphins versus the Knights. Going to be a great match. A lot of players missing, I know. I still think we're going to get some great footy, but I'm going to go with it's in the Hunter. I'm going with the Knights to break the winning streak for the Dolphins. I just think that this Knights team plays differently than when Ponga's in the side, but still, Dylan Brown has been there long enough. Sharpie's still going to be there. I've got them winning this. I really do. Dom Young will be there still. I've got the Knights snapping the Dolphins' win streak and getting the big victory of this battle for the top 4. Let's go over them again. We've got the Rabbitohs, the Tigers, the Sharks, the Sea Eagles, and the Knights are my picks. And my gun of the round, yes, I could have picked Ola Kawatu as he still has been stepping on Storm players. I think he just stepped on somebody down in Melbourne just recently too in training. I can't prove it, but I think it happened. But I'm going with Billy Smith. I'm going with a guy that seems like he's injured every third match. But when he plays, man, he's a good player. He's a heck of a player. And getting 2 tries, 214 running meters, 2 line breaks, 1 try assist, 5 tackle breaks, and 5 tackles made. I'm going with Billy Smith as my gun of the round. I know I like to surprise you guys occasionally, but that's who I picked. It just is how it is. He's my gun of the round. So, congratulations to Billy Smith. The gift card is in the mail. Shedheads, in all seriousness, it's so good to be back with you guys. I've missed doing the show. It's been great having a little bit of time off. I'm rejuvenated. I'm ready. I'm ready to rock. We're going to finish this season strong. So excited to have you along for the ride. But until next week, have fun with this round 18. Definitely catch some of these NRLW matches. They're definitely worth their weight in gold. And then finally, have fun watching Origin 3, because you will not hear from me until after the game as I give my recap of the tussle at Suncorp. So have fun with that. Stay out of trouble. Don't get caught. Until next week, this is your Shedadamus, Corey Jackson. You've been listening Outside the Sheds. Until next week again, see ya.
And that was another fantastic episode of Outside the Sheds with Corey Jackson, talking all things NRL and all things sports. So please remember to smash the subscribe button and share this with your family and friends and show them what Australian sport is all about.